So it'd be maybe a little bit quieter because it's coming through the headset, right? And there's going to be muffled noise going on. So whenever you're dealing with anything related to separation, weather, anything that where I really need to make my point, winds. So there's winds. If the winds are high, we want to make sure that those pilots can hear that. So or acknowledge it. So I might read the winds to these guys twice. And if I'm concerned about what we call, what's the crosswind component? Well, quite simply, if you're getting a direct crosswind, and let's say it's 35 or 40 knots, that's about the maximum an airplane can crab into that wind and land. Like that, I mean, if we're just doing a roundabout, that's about the max crosswind component of, most airplanes. So if we know we've got heavy winds, I want to make sure that these pilots heard me. So I might give that, or I would probably give, well, we were taught to give that wind call out twice. One of the things that we used to talk about a lot, the instructor and myself, was the simple fact that it's not a requirement that air traffic controllers get any flight instruction, and the majority of controllers have zero flight instruction, and it seems crazy. It would seem a mandatory requirement that you would at least go get like 10 hours of flight instruction where you're flying into the terminal control areas, shooting some ILS or instrument approaches with an instructor, not even landing the airplane or doing anything, just having a ride along and filing the flight plan with the instructor so you have a perspective of what it's like to be in the cockpit. And that was something that you would really notice with students in the class, and that was a huge monumental advantage that I had over everybody in there. Was just, it all made sense to me, the three-dimensional world, because I'd been in it. That's what I'd been doing. Okay, so now we're going to run over the airport and we're going to go over this best practice, but remember this, we were taught that the buck stops with us. As the individual, you must use your tools. So let's talk about that right now. And this is make-believe, as far as I don't know what the best practices are at DCA, other than a few things, like, in other words, it was okay for these airplanes to be separated by 75 feet, which is unbelievable. But let's look into this. So let me show you. All right, everybody, this is my wife, Madison. She's going to help me a little bit with this best practice, okay? So the first thing we're going to do, we know that when we talk about separation through this corridor, that they were allowing 75 feet of separation. So when we're talking about using these sticks,